After 12 years of marriage, I found my wife's old diary filled with pages about her ex. One entry said, "He'll never know I named our son after you." When I confronted her, she smirked and said, "It's just a name. Don't be so dramatic." So I ordered a paternity test. 3 days later, I left the results in her diary on her parents' porch. She's been calling me every night since. I never believed I'd be posting about my failed marriage. But when your entire life turns out to be built on lies, you need somewhere to vent. All names used are placeholders for obvious reasons. 1 month ago, I discovered my 12-year marriage was a complete fraud, all because of a leather-bound journal hidden in our attic. I'm 43, run my own architecture firm. My soon-to-be ex-wife, Lisa, is 41, teaches high school English. There's also an 11-year-old boy named Ethan, who I was fooled into believing was my son, but I'll get to that. Last month, while Lisa was at a teacher's conference and Ethan was at baseball, I was cleaning the attic of my house, a property I bought and paid for before we got married with clear documentation proving it's separate property. I found a box labeled "Personal, Do Not Open," hidden behind some Christmas decorations in my own damn house. A box I'm not supposed to open that raised immediate red flags. Inside was a journal. When I opened it, a photo fell out. Lisa wrapped around some guy I'd never seen before, looking all lovey-dovey on a beach on the back, "Forever yours." And the journal was filled with entries about this guy, Michael, mostly from before we met. Then I found an entry dated right after Ethan was born. "He's perfect. Looking at him reminds me so much of you. That's why I chose your name for him, Michael Ethan. Robert thinks we're just using your middle name because I like how it sounds. He'll never know I named our son after you. A little piece of you I get to keep forever." I read it multiple times to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding, but it was crystal clear. The boy I'd raised for 11 years was named after some ex-boyfriend I'd never even heard of, and the entry strongly suggested Ethan wasn't even mine. When Lisa got home Sunday night, I waited until Ethan was asleep before confronting her. I put the journal on the kitchen table. "What's this doing out?" she asked, face draining of color. "Who's Michael?" I asked flatly. She hesitated, then shrugged. "An ex from college. Ancient history. Is Ethan named after him?" Instead of looking guilty or apologetic, she actually smirked. "It's just a name, Robert. Don't be so dramatic." That smirk told me everything I needed to know about our marriage. Is he Ethan's biological father? What? Number, how could you even ask that? Because of what you wrote about Michael Ethan, about keeping a piece of him forever. You're taking that completely out of context. So I dated a guy named Michael whose middle name was Ethan. So I liked the name. It doesn't mean anything. Did you sleep with him around the time Ethan was conceived? She stood up, knocking her chair over. "I'm not having this conversation. You're being ridiculous. Answer the question, Lisa. Number, I haven't even seen Michael since before I met you. The vehement denial might have convinced me once. Not anymore. I want a paternity test. Absolutely not," she snapped. "I'm not putting our son through that just because you're paranoid about an old journal." I didn't argue further, just walked away and slept in the guest room. Next morning, I called my lawyer, then ordered a home paternity test kit online. Getting Ethan's DNA was simple. I told him I needed to swab his cheek for a school science project. 3 days later, I had the results. Ethan is not my biological son. I wasn't even surprised at this point, just cold and determined. I made copies of the key journal pages and the test results, put the originals in a large envelope, and drove to Lisa's parents' house. Left it on their porch with a note. "Your daughter has been lying to me for 12 years. Ethan is not my biological son. Ask her about Michael." Then I checked into a hotel, turned off my phone, and met with my lawyer to discuss how to completely destroy Lisa in the divorce. When I turned my phone back on 2 days later, I had 47 missed calls. Most from Lisa, but also from her parents and even my own parents, who she'd tried to pull into her drama. I only responded to my parents, telling them I was handling the situation my way. I listened to one voicemail from Lisa. "Robert, please, I can explain everything. It's not what you think. Come home so we can talk." "Ethan's asking for you," I texted back. "I'll only communicate through my lawyer from now on. This is my house, which I owned before our marriage with documented proof. You have 30 days to vacate per state law." The truth emerged fast after that. Michael had contacted Lisa right before our wedding. They met up during her bachelorette weekend in Vegas and slept together. when she discovered she was pregnant 6 months into our marriage. She knew it might be his, but decided to pass the child off as mine. She never told Michael about the pregnancy and never told me about him. Her parents were shocked. Her father called me. I don't know what to say, Robert. I had no idea she was capable of something like this. I filed for divorce immediately. Also filed a petition to disestablish paternity, providing the DNA evidence and proof of fraud to have my name removed from Ethan's birth certificate. My lawyer assured me this was legally sound given the evidence of deliberate deception. Hard decision? Actually, it wasn't. For 11 years, I'd been manipulated into raising another man's child. That's not noble. That's being played for a fool. Lisa chose to vacate the house before the 30-day period ended, realizing she had no legal right to remain. I returned to my house after confirming she had left, changed all the locks, security codes, everything. Walking through those rooms, I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. She thought she'd played me for over a decade, but in the end, she was the one left with nothing. It's been 3 months now. The divorce is nearly finalized. Lisa had the nerve to demand half of my assets and alimony. My lawyer shut that down fast with the evidence of her infidelity and fraud. In our state, adultery that results in a child conceived during marriage is considered extreme marital misconduct. The court ruled that my premarital assets, including the house, remained separate property, and the division of marital assets was adjusted in my favor due to her misconduct. My petition to disestablish paternity was successful. With DNA evidence proving non-paternity and clear documentation of Lisa's fraud, the court removed me from Ethan's birth certificate. The judge explicitly ruled that I have no legal or financial obligation toward a child that is not biologically mine, and that I was deceived into raising. Lisa still calls from new numbers every night, alternating between sobbing apologies and threats. I've documented every call as evidence of harassment. Her mother told me last week that they found Michael through social media. When confronted, he confirmed he's Ethan's biological father, then immediately signed papers acknowledging paternity, but waiving custodial rights. Didn't even want to meet the kid. The court has ordered him to pay child support, regardless of his interest in parenting. Another legal hit to Lisa's financial situation. Lisa and Ethan are now living in a small apartment paid for by her parents. Her teaching salary barely covers the basics after her extravagant spending habits. Meanwhile, I'm enjoying the peace and quiet of my house, focusing on my business, which has landed 2 major contracts since all this went down. Funny how much more productive you can be when you're not wasting energy on people who don't deserve it. Some might question why I cut Ethan off completely. Simple. I refuse to be manipulated any longer. Staying in his life would mean regular contact with Lisa, continued financial support for her lies, and a lifetime of being reminded how thoroughly I was deceived. That's not happening. He has a mother and a biological father, even if that father wants nothing to do with him. Not my problem anymore. Some might question why I sent the evidence to her parents. Simple. I needed witnesses to the truth. I needed people who mattered to Lisa to know exactly what kind of person she is. I make no apologies for that decision. Actions have consequences, and Lisa's actions destroyed our marriage and any responsibility I had toward her or Ethan. The divorce will be finalized next month. I'm rebuilding my life on my terms. I've started dating again. Nothing serious, just enjoying the company of honest women who actually respect men. I'm traveling more, investing in my business and planning a future that's completely free of Lisa's manipulation. When people ask if I miss being a father, I tell them the truth. I was never a father. I was a walking ATM and babysitter for another man's child. The disgusting part is that Lisa knew this the entire time, smirked about it when confronted, and expected me to just accept it. Update. 1 month later, this post blew up more than expected. Thanks for the support. The divorce is final. I got everything I wanted and then some. Lisa tried playing hardball about financial support, thinking she could manipulate the court with stories about Ethan losing his father figure. Big mistake. The judge took one look at the evidence of her deception and awarded me a complete separation. No obligations whatsoever toward Lisa or Ethan. For those asking about child support, no, I'm not paying it and legally can't be forced to. The court officially disestablished my paternity based on the DNA evidence and proof of fraud. The judge ruled it would be fundamentally unjust to require financial support under these circumstances. Lisa's lawyer actually had the balls to request it initially, but shut up real quick when my lawyer outlined the full extent of her fraud. To answer the most common questions, 1. No. I haven't seen or spoken to Ethan since I left. Some call that cold. I call it self-respect. I wish the kid well, but he's not my responsibility or problem. 2. Many asked why I went to her parents first, because I wanted the truth to come from an unimpeachable source before Lisa could spin her lies. It worked perfectly. Her parents were so disgusted. They didn't even try to defend her. 3. To those suggesting I should maintain a relationship with Ethan. Would you volunteer to support another man's child for the next 7+ years after being deceived for 11? Would you sign up for regular interaction with a woman who lied to your face for over a decade? Didn't think so. 4. For the guys messaging about similar situations, stand your ground, document everything. Don't let emotions cloud your judgment, and never ever allow yourself to be manipulated by appeals to do what's best for the child. What's best is for children to be raised by their actual parents, not men deceived into thinking they're fathers. 5. I don't feel guilty, not even a little. I gave 11 years of my life to a lie. That's more than enough. Lisa tried reaching out through mutual friends last week, claiming Ethan is traumatized by my absence and acting out at school. Not my circus, not my monkeys. She created this situation with her lies, and now she can deal with the fallout. Her parents have actually apologized to me multiple times. They've even offered financial assistance to make things right. I declined. I don't need or want their money. Her father told me you've handled this with more dignity than most men would. Lisa has to live with what she's done. I've started seeing someone new, a business owner I met at a conference. She's smart, honest, and most importantly, respects men and understands boundaries. We're taking things slow, but it's refreshing to be with someone who doesn't view me as a resource to be exploited. My house is now completely remodeled, erased every trace of Lisa and the life I thought I had, sold all the furniture we bought together, repainted every room, even renovated the master bathroom she'd been nagging me about for years. Some people have called me heartless for my clean break, but here's the thing. Staying would have been the real weakness. Continuing to raise another man's child out of some misplaced sense of obligation. That's being a doormat, not a man of principle. I chose self-respect over self-sacrifice. I chose truth over comfortable lies, and I've never been more at peace with a decision in my life. Eat it to the person who messaged saying, I'm punishing an innocent child. I'm refusing to continue being manipulated. There's a difference. Lisa punished that child by lying about his paternity for 11 years. Director outrage at her,